Hi everybody, can you hear me okay? I hope you can. Probably should check that my volume is on my phone, and it wasn't. There we go, so hopefully you can hear me now. If you couldn't, everything's on. I got my hands here, okay. Today, I went ahead and I'm gonna change lanes for a day and do some Christmas wreaths that I have the supplies for that are kind of whimsical. Might even throw in some swags. I have already prepped. This is just a standard wire frame that is, let's see, 14 inch. So we're doing a 14 inch today. I either use 10 inch, 14 inch, or 16 inch when I do wire ones. When I start with the 16 inch one, it gets so big that I literally cannot ship it because it ends up, well, about that wide. And the box, you can see my hand over there. I can show you this way maybe. I can't really. Anyhow, it's like 30 inches by 30 inches, and I do have a box that's 2 feet by 3 feet, but I don't have any 3 feet by 3 feet or 30 by 30 inch. I can't get a deal on them like I do my other boxes. I spend $5 or so for those, and I cannot bring myself to pay $20 for one single boxes or in that range. And that's what it would take. I have to buy them in bulk to get discounts. So we're going to start today. Look at this beautiful glittery red. 21 inches long. And this is going to be the base for the wreath we're going to do. And actually, I'm going to make two. And I'm going to use one roll. And I'm going to make it stretch. This one is a Deco poly mesh, and it's got the yellow gold glittery shimmers going through it. I do have a place to toss my trash here. I'm going to show you guys how to do these and kind of take you through my process of figuring out what I want to use. This is snowdrift mesh, and they all say they're 10 inch, right? Wrong. Always measure these, especially if you're cutting them with a wood burner tool. I'm not going to do any of that today. This is going to make it nice for everyone watching this. If you think you might want to make a wreath, I'm going to show you how to do it without having fraying ends and without having to use a wood tool. We're going to have a really cute sign on there about candy canes from the Kringle Candy Company. And we are going to have some beautiful coordinating ribbon on both. And I have a couple sets of these giant candy canes. Now, I know I've been following on social media. A lot of people are like, you know, stuff like this has nothing to do with Christmas. You know, last year, my little granddaughter, Sydney, for the first time, got to go to church, and she got to be part of the Christmas program. And she has wanted to go for so long. You can't imagine. She has been wearing down parents and her other set of grandparents for years, trying to tell them, you know, I want to go to church. I want to go to church. Let me go to church. But what happened is when her mom and dad finally got divorced last year, and her grandparents bought a house in Oklahoma, that house ended up being next door to a minister and his wife. I'm just gathering this edge here, kind of accordion that together, because I'm going to use a zip tie to connect it. Back to my story. They ended up being her neighbor, the pastor, his wife, and their 3 daughters. And her mom's living with her parents, and her brother is there too. At any rate, she warmed down, and she has been spending a lot of time with this really great family down there. I'm going to say that. I haven't met them in person. I have followed online. I've watched her Christmas program. And guess what their program was about? You guessed it, candy canes. Candy cane Christmas. And this really didn't surprise me too much because there's a lot of symbolism in candy canes. If you look at the shape of a candy cane, it can look like a shepherd's hook. If you turn it the other way, it can look like the letter J for Jesus. I have this old copy of what we sent to all of our adult kids and grandchildren one year about the legend of the candy cane. And so I pulled that out so that Sydney could see it this summer when she was here. And I told her I watched her Christmas program, you know, and we had a little discussion about that. And she got to read that legend from when, well, she wasn't even a thought back when I did that. Her dad wasn't old enough. But, so don't think that just because it's cute and whimsical that it doesn't have meaning to people. You have no idea sometimes what that meaning might be. Okay, most wreath makers are going to tell you you need 10-inch poofs. I'm going to tell you you need it just under that 10-inch mark. And my reason for doing that is so, and I'm measuring here on my mat as I'm doing this, guys. There are other ways to measure this as well, but this is just a really simple way to do this. And lay it in your pipe cleaner. Oh, I probably ought to go ahead and explain my placement of the pipe cleaners with this other one real quick so you'll know, since I didn't do that on the video. Okay, so when you have a wreath like this, you're going to want to put 3 cleaners in each section on this outer rim. There's a lot of different ways to do these. Let me grab one that doesn't have one on it yet so I can show you more easily. Okay, each of this size has 8 sections, and the section is between this crossbar and this crossbar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, it's got 6 sections, sorry. In each section, you're gonna use these outer 2, and what I do is I go through here, and I tighten it there, go all the way around, hit every cross section on the outside. You're gonna do every cross section on the inner, but then for more fullness, you're going to go back to your outer and put one in between each of the ones on the outer ring. That's going to give you 18 total points of connection, okay? I'm doing my math. 6 times 3, yeah. Okay, so you're going to have 18 of these stems. I buy these separately just for Christmas time or making angels. You can get them different colors. They're super shiny and glimmery and glittery, but they do not shed. And so I've already done 2 of these this way. Maybe on the next one I do that I'm going to use gold on, I'll tie them on so you can watch me tie them on. But I did this to save a little time. These do take some time to do. And just move your pipe cleaners out of your way. The ones in the middle, throw them all towards the middle. In the center, rather. If they're in the center of it, you don't need them in your way right now. So you should have like 6 pointing toward the very middle of your wreath right now. Just throw them out of the way. Okay. And I secured this right before it went into this cleaner here, okay? And that's important. You want it secure. You don't want this to come apart. You don't want it to fray. So just make sure you do that. And like I said, I am going just under 10 inches on this because this is a 10-yard roll. And if you do the math with me, okay, what is 36 times 10? If you did 10-inch sections, you would get 360 inches. That would be the full 10 yards. You're going to need a little bit of leeway for things like anchoring them, for when you finish to anchor it that way, and also when you jump from your outer ring to your inner ring. So I go just under that 10 inches. It gives me a little wiggle room. I'm able to make more than one wreath with that one roll. Now, it's important to note, this is a 14-inch ring, not a 16-inch ring. If you do a 16-inch ring, you will use more of this 21-inch mesh to get this look. It's a showstopper look. So going under your 10 inches is not going to work on that bigger frame. I wholeheartedly recommend you use the whole 10 inches on that, and just plan on, if you're going to use the rest of that roll, make sure you order more than one when you do it, because there's no going back really. And you want to make these tight in here when you connect it. You're going to be coming back after this, and you're going to be adding more things into that same pipe cleaner. So that's why it's important that you make sure, oh, these aren't as easy as just a regular pipe cleaner to work with on there. I'm gonna put them up together a little bit out of my way. Okay, I'm gonna try to go a little quicker than I am right now. Okay, so you're gonna come in before the 10. You know, you can go 9, 9.5 even, but you want to have a few inches of wiggle room at the end of the day when you're done putting all this in, so that you know you have enough to do both wreaths. And I'm doing 2 of these. I bought these signs on sale after the season last year. I loved them. And then I got these elements, the candy canes, later on. I got the ribbon to match the candy canes, and I was like, ooh, now I've got everything I need except this base layer. So I did buy my red that I'm working with right here. But I had everything else already, and so I had bought it previously. It takes me a while. Sometimes I get an idea, but I have to stew on all of the components sometimes before I get it just the way I really want it. I think we all do that, don't you? I mean, I don't know a whole lot of people that when they start a project, they're like, I know exactly what I want to do, what color and what material and what size I want it to turn out. And I mean, I have so many projects in queue right now. It's ridiculous. Okay, so we're going to pull it out. We've got our thumb on the pipe cleaner. Pull this out. It's just gathered to about 9.5. Bring it to the next stem. Pull that stem open, lay it in nice and snug with your hand, and twist it on. Okay, we already have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of our poofs on the outside. This is going to go quickly. Another 9.5. Let's pull that open, set it down. Okay, now you can go back when you're done, and you can, you know, play with your poofs if you're a real perfectionist. I just make sure that they all look decent, and I keep going because you're going to have so many layers on here when you're done. If you're worried about something not being perfect right now, there's really no point, because it's going to get covered most likely. This layer it's kind of going to be like a peekaboo layer behind everything. It's your supporting layer. It gives it just that hint of color behind everything else. And it's not, I don't want to say it's not as important, because it is important. This is what really makes it a showstopper. And it's what hides the frame. You don't know what this is made on when you're done. You have no idea. So this is an important layer. You want good quality mesh. I'm going to say that right now, because, you don't want the wires showing. If you get really cheap thin mesh and you don't go with 21-inch wide mesh, you won't get the same results. I never use Dollar Tree mesh. I haven't been impressed. I just gotta tell you, I'm really not impressed when I look at it. And it's so see-through. They don't have the widths that I use. I use 10-inch and 21-inch wide. So they have a lot of, I guess, 6-inch wide mesh there. And I can't think of anything I would use that for, personally, that I make. So I get most of my mesh from Craft Outlet. Now, there have been times I bought from Amazon. There is one particular mesh I like that's a snow mesh that you can only get through Amazon, as far as I know. But you have to buy 4 rolls at a time when you get it, and I still have some of that. The last time I looked, they were completely sold out of it. It's not anything like the rest of the meshes that I use. It's really soft to touch. It's completely different. You do have to burn it apart, but I can show you real quick. This right here is made with that mesh off Amazon. I made it for my mother to, she passed away the day after Christmas back in 2007. This was my first set of angel wings I made. And I have an ornament that I made for her hanging down in the middle, and it has her name on the back, and I had put that on there. And she had it at the nursing home, and after she passed away, it was really pretty traumatic for me at 37 when, she hadn't been physically ill, and like on her birthday, she started vomiting blood, and after the surgery, she developed an arterial bleed on Christmas Day, and we were there, and it was just having our youngest with us at the hospital, and the team was on call, and they didn't come in as quick as they should have, and I don't like to talk about it very much, but I made that wreath for her, for us to put out every year at Christmas and remember her. Her birthday was December 12th. And she died on December 26th back in that year. Okay, so now I have these all the way around on the outer part of the wreath frame. I still need to do the inner part. You can still see wires. And we don't want to see those wires. So what I'm going to do now is called jump. I don't know why I keep getting this piece on the very edge. And if you ever have a piece of mesh bugging you, do not pull it. If you pull it, it's like if you give a mouse a cookie, it's going to create so many more problems. So don't ever pull it. Find the closest stem to where you ended, which I just opened up the stem I started at, and I put this in there and tightened it down firmly on the start and finish one, and take it straight into that stem. Don't make a poof here, guys. Take it straight. And you want it nice and tight, because you're going to do the same thing when you come around to this one. You're going to undo it, and then you're going to lay your finish point into it. And I've seen some crafters that when they finish, they put it in there and then they cut it and they don't zip tie it down. I always zip tie things down, start and finish. I think if you're going to make something, make it to last, people. Don't make it so it's going to come apart. Okay, now, because look at this. How are you going to measure from that point to your almost 10 inches? I do get a little bit different here with my measuring. I have this tool. This is 10 inches over here. That's 12 inches over there. I usually use this on ribbon. And I have a 13-inch and a 14-inch one. And it's hard. It's wood. But if you take this and put it down against your frame, when you pull up, you can come up to that 10-inch mark. and just stop right in front of it. Or for the middle, you've already taken some off on the outer part. These are further apart actually in the middle because you didn't double them up. Put a 10-inch loop in that one. You only have 6 of these to do. So go for it. You've got 12 on the outside, 6 on the inside. Okay, I'm making it tight, giving it a good tight twist. All right. I want you to see when you get the center, when you start doing that inner one, you start covering all that wire. Okay, let me hurry up and get it where it needs to be so everybody can see the next step. And I'm sorry I didn't pre-cut stuff today. I thought this will give you guys a better idea of like how long it takes to do it really. And aside from putting my stems on last night ahead of time and making sure everything was laid out, you're going to see the whole process today. Okay, there's 2, just 4 more to do. And I have to tell you, a lot of the time when you're using this 21-inch roll, it can go flying off your work surface. I am so glad we have this awesome table now, because when I first started doing this, I did not have an awesome work table like this. I can kind of pull it and tell where my 10 inches is, but I'm going to go ahead and measure. Yeah, that's good. If you've done enough of it, you'll get to the point where you don't really need it. But I do want this to be really precise because I want 2 wreaths out of 1 roll. Money saving techniques. A 10-yard roll can make 2 of them. If you don't have more than 18 connection points, and you don't need more than, just under 10 inches for each loop. And I think it's turning out good at this size. I'm happy with it. Looks like it's getting good coverage. Yep, I've got it right. Let me open the stem up, tighten it down. And you might need to take your ones that you already did and push them out of the way like you did in the middle when you were doing the outer part. Because these stems are thick. They're not like regular pipe cleaners. These can be kind of pointy. And it's not that I'm wimpy, but I am on blood thinners, and if I like hurt a fingernail bed or something, it could put me out of commission. So I'm just making sure nothing's where it's going to poke me as I'm going along. Okay. And you can make something like this to use out of cardboard. Just make it the length that you need. And make sure you leave something to hang on to on it. That's how I started, was with cardboard for making tails for my ribbons. And I'll show you ribbon tails here in a few minutes. We're getting ready to do our second layer of mesh, which is going to be some snowdrift mesh. And because of the way we're using it, we do not have to burn it apart, which I think is always a plus. Because the burning things apart, that can take me another day. I need my husband to help me with it. And he just he holds things steady while I do the burning part of it. But still, we have to take the time to sit down and do it all. And that extra day, it's not always something that you want to spend just on separating mesh pieces, especially if I still have to form each piece that I separate. Okay, so I went back into that first stem. I opened it up. I laid it in there. Now what I have is a fully covered base layer. Let me get it where you can see. This is my base. Okay, now I'm going to cut. I'm going to give myself just a little bit here, because what I'm going to do with it, I would say, give yourself a couple inches, cut it straight across. It will not be straight when you look at it. Okay, I'm going to show you guys. See how that's jagged? Hence the need to give yourself some extra inches, like I said, when you're making it. I'm going to set that out of the way. We're going to take another zip tie. Let me get my zip tie tightener. I'm going to flip my wreath over, and I'm going to go on the back and attach that mesh where it's naturally wanting to head already to one bar of the frame really tightly. So it won't fray, it won't come apart, it won't come undone. It's there to stay. It's made to last. These nice and tight with my little tool that I use. Okay. Now, you guys see that okay? I worry about whether or not you can see what I'm doing. Now what we need to do is set this over here, get our rotary cutter, and I opened my snowdrift mesh. This is what I was talking about. Not all 10-inch rolls are actually 10 inches. This one is about almost 10 and a half, I'd say. So if you were going to, well, it's 10 and a quarter. If you were going to separate it with a wood tool, with the burning tool, you would need to know that, because you want those pieces to come out perfectly square before you do your folding and making petals. So you would fix your cutting area so you're on that 10 and a quarter mark. That way it's perfectly squared up. That's not what we're doing today, though. We don't have to worry about that stuff. Today, we are going to pull this out to 20 inches. Ooh. Let me do it the opposite way. There we go. I probably need to slide my mat more this way. Oh, my glass mat's on it. It's really heavy because it's got metal. Okay. And I'm using my self-healing cutting mat. This is a 2-foot by 3-foot mat on the table. So at 20 inches, you want 18 pieces of this. And I'm going to show you how we're going to do this as soon as I get them cut. So if you need a break or something for just a couple minutes, go ahead and take it. This doesn't take long, but I am cutting 18 at 20 inches. 2, 3, and this is a very forgiving process that I'm doing right here. If it's not perfect when you cut it, don't worry. I have multiple rolls of the snowdrift in white. I have some other colors that are snowdrift, and they will come into play later. I'm doing some peppermint candy wreaths. I'm doing some whimsical red, green, and white berries on them. I'm doing a Jack Frost one coming up. 5. This is going to be 6, and we're a third of the way done cutting. Whew, but it wants to roll up on me. I'm going to use my scissors to lay on it so the roll doesn't get away from me while I'm cutting it. Okay. You can go a little less than 20 if you're worried about your mesh roll not being long enough. It just won't give it as full of a look when you're ready. That's the only thing I would caution you about. And there will be some wreaths that I make. I don't know if I'll get to them before the end of the year or not. I probably will. But this should actually take the whole roll that I'm doing this way. If you do the math, 18 times 20 should be the full 10 yards. Okay. And that's another reason I like it. You know, this is something that you're going to use one roll of this 10-inch. So you need one roll of that. You use half a roll of the 21-inch. So you've got half that you could use for a completely different type of wreath if you wanted to. It doesn't have to be the same one, but you can use it for the same method. It could be a different season you make it for. Maybe you want to do one for Christmas and another one with a red base on Valentine's Day, you know? So, and, you know, use your imagination. Change up the ribbons, change up the sign that you use. So many different ways to do this. And you can use regular pipe cleaners instead of this big sparkly blue that I have on there. You can use red ones that, you know, match the red background if you don't want it to show up. But my ribbon's going to have that teal blue in it, and I think it's going to be really pretty. And the candy canes have it in there too. A little bit. Okay. I have a lot of grapevines to do yet. That's why I want to get these out of the way this week so I can focus. I've got fall and Christmas grapevine projects that are like literally in boxes on the floor here. These big boxes that I need to make. And they're really gorgeous. And I think the first one I'm going to do is the one for us, because if anyone sees it and wants one, I'm going to need to know early so that I have a chance of getting the smaller pieces that I don't have more of. I used 3 grapevines to make one wreath. But when you see it, it will totally make sense to you why I did what I did. I have a 16-inch, and then I have 2 8-inches on it. But it's going to be really pretty. I'm really excited to make it. I think my husband's going to love it. And, you know, we have not had a Christmas wreath really since we were married, except, you know, the fresh greenery ones that you get every year that die right after you get them. So it's kind of like a treat for us. Okay, here I am at the end of my roll. And I didn't count, so I don't know if I already have enough pieces. But this piece, I taped it on. There we go. I can easily cut it to 12 inches. I'm just going to do that because you can do stuff with that. And I have a stash where I put spare pieces, which sounds ridiculous, but I do. I have a spot right over there, and I have a lot of spare pieces of things. I do keep these hard tubes. They are really hard. Nothing like a paper towel roll tube. That's really thick and hard. You can bear, I don't think you could crush it very easily, even if you stood on it. It would, probably if you stood on it, you could, but I don't know what to do with these. I may just offer them for free on our Buy Nothing group sometime, because I have like a whole box of them now. But anyhow, you probably don't care about that. But if anyone can use them for a project, hey, send me a message and let me know, because I have them. Now, I don't need my scissors in the way. I'm going to scoop them over here on my cart. They're out of sight and out of mind for a little while. What you do need... where's my little clamps? There they are. If you have... you can use clamps. You can use a tool. You can use a clothespin. Whatever you have that is handy for you. What you're going to do is you're going to roll this mesh straight in on itself in a tube shape here. Okay? Give it 3 or 4 twists. About an inch, you know, each time. Put a clamp on it and turn it the other direction. And then you do the same thing on the other end. What we're making right now are called cruffles. Okay, I feel like that's good right there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide it all the way up to where I have that clip. And then I'm going to grab the clip, take it off. I'm going to pick it up. You can look at it. See it? It kind of looks a little like a bow tie if you look at the back of it. but we're going to lay it in just like this, like we had it. And I think we'll go ahead, separate your pipe cleaners. I like to do every other and then go back and do the ones between them. And it's just because of the layering of it. You don't have to do it that way if you don't want to. I also kind of bring it out so I have good coverage. You see that first one? So I go around, do every other, then I go in and lay on top of those, one in the middle. Then in the center, you do those. So again, if this is boring to you to watch because you think you already know, you can go do something else or sit back and veg out, whatever. If you're watching and you think, oh, this is kind of fun, let your friends know. Tell them, hey, go watch this. Okay, so we're going to come in. And then we're going to start scrunching this whole thing with our fingers to where we have our clip. Undo the clip. Make sure you're grabbing where that clip was at. That was right in the middle. Okay, so we're going to skip one. These are nice because they contrast with the red, and you can go back and find it. And I am doing side to side, not uppy-downy. And I think you'll see that here in a minute when I start working on the next layer. You can see how I have two, but there's pipe cleaners to put one in the center. That's what we're going to do in a little bit here. I'm going to go all the way around, hit every other one. I'll open the ones we're going to do. Okay, I've got two of them opened here to do. Whew, I wish I had brought something to drink in here. Oh, I did. I have water over there. I'm going to have to go grab some. I'm going to give it one more roll. I don't like this to be real transparent. This is really pretty. It's got the snowdrift in it, and it's like a solid line, almost a fluffy, cottony material. And you want to make sure all of those edges are rolled inside of it. Nothing is really out there that's going to fray and come apart on it. Okay. And I'm sorry, I can't really see who's watching, who isn't watching right now, and I can't see comments. I do occasionally look over to see if what I'm doing is on the screen, but I'm on my own right now with just my phone on the tripod. I don't have an iPad in front of me. Oddly enough, I gave away our iPad years ago. I thought, oh, we never use this thing, and gave it to one of our kids, and now I'm like, oh, now I need an iPad, because then I could see comments and I could respond to people when they join to watch. But anyhow, it's not in my budget at the moment. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to lay this one in. It really doesn't take a long time when you get going. You saw me do the cutting, laying it on, everything today. I'm kind of saving some of the, if you notice, as the roll got smaller when I was cutting this white mesh, it got tighter because, it's just the way it is when you're cutting something and it's on a roll. The closer in you get, the more tightly wound it is. And so I'm kind of saving those more tightly wound pieces for when I do the middle of this. For one thing, the ones that are looser, I'm getting them off the table faster this way. But they will look just a little bit nicer in the center where you only have 6, as opposed to the edge where you've got 12 of these. and they're going to be overlapped. And after you do all of these, you're going to do your ribbon tails, and they're going to sit in each pipe cleaner. So you're going to have 18 sets of ribbon tails also. So yeah, I'll show you how to do those quickly though. I hope you will be happy to see how I do that, so it doesn't take a long time. I go ahead and wind them on my tail tool over there, whatever length I need, and I wind up the number that I need. I cut them off of it, and then I dovetail everything all at once. So just fast and easy. Then if I decide to do a big bow, I'll do that at the very end after I've gotten the elements on this one, because I do have a lot going on it, and I don't know if it's going to need a bow yet. Okay. I want you to get a look. I am getting ready to start putting in the middle ones now around the edge. We've done every other. So now we're going to do the center ones. And I do have this curled side up, you can see, because it's coming at me, right? So I'm rolling it the way it naturally would roll, making sure all of the edges are contained in that little roll. That's your curl right there. Sometimes you just make curls, but you don't need them this long if you're just making curls to put into a wreath. They call this cruffles because you have curls and ruffles combined. And if all you were doing is ruffles, you would need to use your heat tool to separate it so it wouldn't fray on the edge. But since you curl it all in on the edges, you don't have to worry about that happening. Okay, now I opened up this one in between these two, and this guy is going to go right down in here the same way. I mean, you can go this direction, but I don't. I go this way. And that way they're truly overlaying one another. Bring your stems straight up after you've got those in there, and it'll help you know, hey, I'm done here for now. And that's just the beginning. Right here is just the beginning. This is 3 that are together. I'm going to finish up, get the other 5 on there, and then I'll do the 6 in the middle. But you can see how much coverage you're getting on here already. I don't have any of the ribbons yet. I don't have any of the decorations, my sign, the candy canes and things like that. They're not on there yet. You're going to add ribbons before you add all of that. Ribbon tails. You wouldn't do your bow until last. And sometimes I get to that point and I don't think it needs one, and I don't. Sometimes I do, and I do. So, depending on what it is and how it looks. But you know, you're going to use 18 feet of each ribbon just to get your tails on this. So you need to use your supplies wisely. The more you put into a project, if you're not making it for yourself or a gift, the more you would need to charge someone for it just to break even. And this snowdrift mesh, I don't know if it's still in stock or not, that craft outlet. I've had it for a bit. It's kind of a new product this year, as far as I know. I did not see it last year, but I wasn't really started until January on this stuff really well. And when I started doing this, I thought, you know, Daniel was going to do his Native American stuff and wood burning, and I would be maybe painting some signs or something. But it went a different direction on me, and I had to pivot my thoughts. I was like, well, people are asking about, you know, the angel wings that I made for my mom, and they would like some, and so I got more supplies for that. And then, you know, before long, I saw a cross that I thought, oh, I could do something like that or similar to it. So I played around with different ways to make a cross with leftover pieces of mesh from angel wings, and I had someone that wanted them, and it just blew up, you know. I was like, well, maybe this is the way God wants me to go for now, making some wreaths for people. Okay, we're getting there. Don't worry about, you know, adjusting it while you're trying to get it in there nice and tight. Just get it in there, and then you can go ahead and fluff it the way you need to. And you still have the center ones to do. So don't forget, you're going to have another inner layer here too. All right. Look at how much we're getting here, folks. We're not done yet. Lots more. We have 2 more on the outer, and then we're going to do the inner. And it looks like I don't have enough cut, but that's okay. I can cut some more. One good thing about these 10-inch rolls is not every time that I buy them, but if it's something like whites, I always have more than 1 roll. Because of the angel wings and the crosses. And this is just a really, to me, a smart one to keep at Christmas time, because even winter themed wreaths, because it does look like it has snow. And it looks really pretty with this glittery red, you know. So I've got more. I can just cut some more. Okay, push it down in with one hand while you pull your stems together with the other, and twist nice and tight, because you're going to need more length on these to get your ribbon tails in. Bring those together until you're ready to use them again. Okay, 1 more on the outside. Oh, sorry, I have to lean over. Looks like I need to cut like 4 pieces. That's okay. I've got a partial roll over here that I can cut to go with this. Okay. Rolled in 4 times there. It's a tiny bit different mesh though. I'm going to show you real fast. Okay, I don't know if you can even tell the difference, but this one doesn't go the same all the way across. It's like a snow drift with snowballs in it. If that makes sense to you guys. But I'm probably going to go ahead and incorporate some of that in the center. It'll have a little bit better coverage, and nobody's really going to notice it, since it looks like I'm 4 pieces shy of enough for the whole project. And that one's already open, rather than have to go across the room and get another roll out of the stash. I get pretty out of breath easily. My oxygen, I'm using it at night only right now, but it's at 5 liters, and so when I'm not on it, sometimes it can really grab me. Okay. Now, we've gone around the outside edge. We're going to do the inside. But like I said, I need to cut 4 more pieces of it. So I'm going to do that. rotary. Huh. Where did I set it? There it is. Looking right at it. Okay. And again, we want to cut these at 20 inches. And just kind of check and make sure you're bringing all of that end over, because it can get off kind of at an angle if you don't watch, you know, your 0 mark. That makes 4. Only going to need 6. Checking it. Makes 5. My grandma was so good at sewing, crocheting, tatting, crafting of any kind. I wish I could do everything she did, but she had a real talent. She left me a lot of supplies. I guess she wanted to encourage me. I don't know. I'm not sure what she was thinking. But, oh, I had one down in there. So I guess what I'm going to do is, like every other will be the exact same as what's on the edge here. I had 3. Maybe I had more that fell off. I don't know. I can tell the difference when I'm up close. Oh, I did. I had some that fell off back here. Okay, y'all can laugh with me real quick, because I thought I didn't cut enough, but it looks like I did. They just fell on both sides of this big table. Okay. Now we're doing the same thing again with our handy dandy clamp. And I did, you know, a good 4 twists there. And it's okay when you start rolling if it's not perfectly even on the end, because you're going to roll it all in. 3, 4. Like I said, this is such a forgiving one to do to start with, but it is considered a showstopper wreath because it's big. Okay, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go every other, just because I like the way they lay better when I get finished doing that. And then I keep that stem upward. Okay, we're ready to lay into that one. Here's a nice, this is what I was talking about. See how tightly wound that is? Because it was close to the center of the roll. And I really only came in 3 times on that end. Let's do the other side. 2, 3. I think I'll do 3.5 turns. Okay, now we're gonna crunch it together, scrunch it, whatever you want to call it, with your fingertips. And I have a finger on each side of that clip so I can move into exactly where the clip was at. All right, so I have one there. I'm skipping that one, and this one is going right in here. And like I said, don't worry right now. You can straighten these out when you're done. You're going to be layering them on there anyhow. Just bring your stem together so it's sticking up. Okay, I'm going to bring the stem upward so I can find it when I get ready to lay the last 3 in. This one needs to be open and up and down to accept the next piece. Again, look at how tight that one is compared to the others and how loose they were. 1, 2, 3. 3 rolls is plenty. It is wound up, I guess you could say. I'm going to do 4 rolls on that end. Feel better about it. Okay. I'm holding it with my left hand. I'm going to take the clamp off carefully. My thumb's messed up, so I don't want to do too much with my thumb. Okay. We're laying it nice and tight down into that pipe cleaner stem, whatever. It's not really a pipe cleaner. It's so big. Okay. So now we've got every other. We only have 3 pieces left to stick in here. It's really taking shape. You're starting to see just how full it's going to be before we even start on ribbons. All right, let me grab my mesh. There's one. I see exactly what happened here. So the one piece that I discarded, it was the end, and we are going to use it. That's the full roll. So I guess instead of doing 20 inches, if you had brought it into like 19 and a half, you would have had a longer final piece. That's something I've learned doing these too. Some rolls might cut you a little bit short, some might have a little extra, but not by a lot. If we have like one piece that's not perfect, nobody's gonna know. Okay, separated my stem. It's gonna overlap the one on each side. And it's gonna be ready for ribbons right there. Okay, 2 more times. And where I'm putting the one that's a little bit shorter, maybe the sign will go over that, you know? Don't worry if you have like one piece that's a few inches shorter than the rest at the end of the roll. There's so many ways to deal with it. Like I said, you still have ribbon tails to add to every stem, and you've got a sign, you've got big candy canes, and you could even make a bow and stick it over that area if you're not putting a sign on something. You could do some florals with these. I like to use my florals mostly with my grapevines, so I'm loving those. I have some really pretty fall and Christmas stuff coming up. And that's why I want to get these done. Okay. Now, final piece. Okay. Gotta give it the 3 twists, because if I don't, it will unravel, and I don't want that to happen. This is super tight. It was the last piece on there, if you guys remember. 3 twists, and then scrunch it. And this is, you know, if I wasn't on a video right now, I would probably go grab another roll of the exact same, or I'd use one of those pieces, but since it's only one piece, and I have some, I'm just going to go with what I've got. Okay, and I don't think you can really tell. You can tell where the one piece that's not quite as long as all the rest is at. I can't. Okay. Well, I think we're going to call that part 1, because I need a little break. And I will do part 2 shortly.